This is Miss Nix, and we're going to talk about book snaps and how to do book snaps with an article. So when you're reading the article, if you find a part that you think is important, you're going to take a screenshot of that part. And you can crop it down to a smaller part, like you can see that I did with this one. And book snaps is annotating and taking notes over the piece that you're reading. So you're going to try and pull out the important parts and summarize and things like that. So you could use emojis, you can use the writing tool to highlight certain sections or underline, draw arrows. You can type a sentence or two that's going to summarize it. So in this example that you're looking at on screen, it's talking about the future of education. So some things that I noticed that I decided to annotate is at the beginning it said the Industrial Revolution, and I put some buildings that look like factories to me because that helps remind me that the Industrial Revolution is when more things started being made by machines and factories, and that's where a lot of people worked. And then it tells me towards the end of that paragraph that technology was speeding up and access to education was staying the same. So to represent technology, I put some pieces of technology in emojis. Then I found this one sentence. It said, once again, technology's outpacing education. And I underlined that because I feel like that's going to be really important to the article. I feel like that's going to be one of the main ideas of the article. And then down at the bottom, I wrote 100 years before universal schooling caught on, because that seems crazy now that we're so used to public school being required that it would take 100 years before people got into the idea of it. So here's another book snap example. This one is from that same article, and it was another section where it said countries should invest in people. So when I was reading this, some of the things that popped out at me were its focus on literacy. So one of the things it said was, I drew an arrow to it, the ability to read contributes to the quality of life. Adults with lower literacy skills are far more likely to report health, have less trust in others, and not feel like they influence politics. Uneducated citizens are less likely to be able to contribute to their countries. And I felt that was really important, so I drew an arrow to it. I also did some book emojis to represent literacy. And then at the very top, I did a going up graph and a going down graph to represent the two different types of economies that a country could have. And I said literacy is the difference, because this article was trying to say that literacy is the reason that countries do better. So I have one last example, and I was doing mine in Seesaw, so you can kind of see what it looks like in Seesaw. And so there is a T down at the bottom. That's how you add text or emojis, and you can size it up and size it down to make it bigger or smaller. The pencil tool is how you would underline or draw arrows to things. You can't really highlight in Seesaw, so you just kind of have to carefully underline. And the last one is the microphone, and that's how you add audio over your book snap. So if I was adding audio, I would do the book snap first, like what's on screen right now. And then I would click that little microphone tool down there at the bottom. And I might say kind of what I'm doing I'm going to explain my book snap. So if I was recording this, I would say, when I was reading this part of the article, I thought one of the things it was trying to emphasize was teamwork. They talked a lot about how people in jobs now are expected to work together. And so what schools should be doing is teaching students to work with one another and be open to new options. I thought that sounded really important, so I underlined it. And another message that I got was a global economy means more people working together and collaborating. As the world expands, schools need to expand and try to help students connect with other people and learn how to develop those professional skills. And then when I'm done recording, I would hit the little check mark up at the top, and then it would save my book snap, and then your teacher can listen to you talk about your book snap also.